Okay, welcome back. I'm Daniel, and I'm here with Jean Milne. Jean, how are you today?
All right, Dan, thanks for having me.
Jean works with us, obviously, and she takes care of our social media and much more. So we just wanted to chat about a few things. And so one of the things we are looking at is and thinking about lately were the arguments of the yes side. So Gene, what do you think we've seen this week from the boosters as far as their arguments as to how their arguments have morphed recently for why we should do the Olympics?
Well, one of the things that really is interesting for us is the fact that it really has never been as clearly stated why we should be doing this, and and that's been true right from the very get-go. There's not a strong why, and so this week, sort of things are sort of coming out, and what we're hearing from the yes side is that, well, we've got nothing else. Like, this is the best we got. This is going to create some jobs, it's going to create some energy in the city. Like, we've got to do this. And that's their why. That's seemingly right now their why. And it just feels, there's a sort of a lack of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, lack of energy around what they're saying. And from my perspective, it just shows a lack of ideas or a lack of belief in the city and what the city can actually do and offer.
No, I agree, and I think it's funny. And you said this when we were chatting last week, and it was a real epiphany for me, and that was around how people have criticized us for being negative because we're no Calgary Olympics. And then really, we're the ones who are more positive. We're the ones who are asking, what else can we do? And looking to our innovation leaders and looking to engage with innovation leaders to look at actual solutions that will help fill up the office tower space downtown. You know, yeah, looking at things that will diversify our economy, not just trying this thing that we did back in '88 and hoping that will do something. I mean, it just seems like it's a very expensive branding exercise for the city.
Yeah, and what branding are they actually doing with it when they don't have what that vision is that we should, where we should go to? And I think that, it's very true. Like, we're thinking that we can do better because we understand that entrepreneurial spirit in Calgary. And we know that there's lots of great ideas out there. You need to tap into them and start walking down those paths. So far better to put, if we don't have any money, which we don't have at any level of government, and if you're going to make an investment, invest in something that actually can generate jobs or for the next generation or create sort of a diversified economy or do something that's really positive. And I think that there's lots of different pools of talent within Calgary that have fantastic ideas, and we should be tapping into that. And so our campaign, you're right, is the positive campaign where we can do better. We know we can do better. And their campaign feels more like it's well, this is the best we got. Like, we're all out of ideas. Well, that's not Calgary. Like, Calgary is an idea, an entrepreneurial, we can do. And, and that's why we're always saying, well, we can do better than the Olympics. Like, what is that return? Like, there's nothing in the Olympics that's actually going to fill up those offices. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Right? They're going to create construction jobs, temporary jobs, part-time jobs, but they're not going to create permanent full-time jobs, well-paying jobs that, will keep our kids in the city, attract, new businesses to Calgary. So,
absolutely. And all the studies show, all the academics agree, the economic benefits of the Olympics when they come to your city are just that. They're a temporary blip. And that blimp is even further diminished by the fact that really there's a lot of displacement that happens. So, yes, you have all these tourists coming downtown, but then you have a lot of downtown office workers who stay home for 2 weeks and aren't spending that money where they would when they're in their offices downtown. So you're just trading dollars for dollars.
Well, even and like, they're actually in the bid, they're saying they don't have enough hotel rooms, so they're going to be asking Calgarians to leave town so that they can rent their house, either through Airbnb or VRBO or whatever those apps are. But people will actually be leaving town and spending that money elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I don't want to say anything because I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I mean, I think the biggest reason why there's a shortage of hotel rooms is because the IOC alone requires an insane amount to be blocked off for just themselves, never mind tourists.
Yeah. No, they actually say in the executive summary that they're going to be relying on the generosity of Calgarians, and we are very generous, like to invite people into our homes, and that's where it's going to go. But I think there is a huge displacement with that.
Mm-hmm.
People will be leaving, like they'll just be getting out of town.
Oh, for sure. Well, like some people do on Stampede Week. But yeah, no, it's it's crazy, and studies academics also find that those fabled construction jobs typically go to people who are already employed, who already have those construction jobs. Not a lot of new jobs are really created to build whatever it is that's being built.
Yeah. Well, right now we know a lot of contractors, and they've got excess capacity currently, right? So if they can fill up that capacity, that's great. But that's sort of leading up to the games. It's certainly not during the campaign, the games, and it's not post the games, right? So at the end of the day, we'll have spent this money, and and we still won't have any new energy or focus on anything that's actually going to really solve these problems that we have. And there was information. Trevor Toome came out this week, and he was talking about that Alberta's heading towards this, an explosion of debt. And what he was saying was that we just don't have the income sources that actually can pay for our debt at a provincial level. And if it continues, especially as our community ages, if it continues, we're not going to be able to pay or service our debt. And so I think that is really important. And so how do we as a city or as a province change that? Well, we've got to change the dynamics, and we've got to bring in new industries and new businesses and get out from this up and down or from the oil and gas sector. And other places like in Texas, they've done that. So we can do it too.
But Jeanne, are you telling me the Olympics aren't going to solve all these problems?
The majority of us are not going to bring your kids back to town with jobs.
Yeah, for sure. So in the paper today, did you read? There were two interesting columns today. I'm going to share my screen and just show. Well, let me minimize that. Here we go. Here's the column from this gentleman who runs the Calgary Convention Center, and his idea of the benefits from the Olympic halo effect. And then we have kind of a counter opinion from Jacqueline K. Nelly, who I spoke to yesterday, and I had trouble pronouncing her name, and had a lovely chat with her yesterday about 3 reasons not to vote for the 2026 games. Did you read the other these yet, Jeanne?
I've read both of them.
Oh, good, excellent. So, what did you think of? This one from the? What's his name? It's at the bottom here. What's his name? Clark Grew, President and CEO of the Calistels Convention Center.
Well, I think it's interesting that a lot of the boosters or the articles that you see somehow like why wouldn't he be promoting the games? Because his facility and whatever the tourism will be busy leading up to and during the games. Absolutely. Will it be busy after the games as a result? That's doubtful. So he, of course he's going to come out as positive because it's going to help him. And right now we know that the tourism industry, that hotels, they're hurting. Like Calgary, the economy is hurting. So I wouldn't expect him to say anything different. But it's funny, every time you drill down, they've got a vested interest, and his interest is actually to change the capacity. So I think he was also trying to say that maybe there's room for Calgary then to have more events at the TELUS Convention Center, and will the Olympics actually do that? That's a leap. That's a hope. And something that can be potentially very expensive for Calgarians, it's a big risk that would happen. Maybe there's less expensive things where you can actually go and target different groups. I know there was a group this week that actually had the Lions Club, their convention is coming to Calgary. Well, that's of the Olympics, right? Like you can target different groups and start to build that business up. And maybe this isn't the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the Olympics are a very, very expensive way to try to improve Clark's convention center business. I'd rather give Clark a slightly smaller bucket of money so he can hire a team and fly around the world and try to get people to come to a city. I don't know, but I think there's a much less expensive way than hosting a mega event like the Olympics to increase that. I like that idea of of us becoming some kind of a convention, destination for businesses, and I love that. I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see that happen. I just don't think the Olympics are the answer to that. And that's what we keep hearing over and over again. The Olympics are this fix all for everything, and it just isn't.
I know, it's like this one basket that everyone's like throwing everything in as being the saving grace for Calgary. Well, the problem is it's not going to provide anything. And then on the other side, it just provides the opportunity for such risk. Like any of the cost overruns are going to be borne by YYC, by Calgary. And so, you've got the risk on that side. There's no empirical evidence whatsoever that you're going to get the benefit. So I would rather focus, target the different industries, target different activities, and you could, for a lot less, I think you get a lot bigger bang for your buck.
Yeah, for sure. So Mary Moran, who I have great respect for and I think is amazing, was out in Banff, I think, this week, and she was chatting about the Olympics. And I believe her message was, if I can sum it up, was do it for the kids. For the next generation, it's going to be this great thing for the kids. What do you think about that?
And she even went further and sort of brought Brexit into the conversation. She was saying, don't do it over there where the old people, vote no and destroy it for the young people. Vote yes for the youth. And I really like Mary as well. I think she is a great person and a great spokesperson for Calgary. But I really had trouble with that message, and because for me, what you can do, the best thing we can do as a city for young people and to keep people here and attract new people is get jobs, get high paying, permanent, full-time in a growth industry, to get jobs. That's what's going to help young people, not the Olympics, not being able to go to an Olympic ceremony for 2 or 3 weeks. What's going to help them is actually investing in things that's going to generate jobs. And then that changes the whole dynamics. And you've got help fill up the office space, attract new businesses, create new employment. That will help with the tax. That starts to turn the story around, and as opposed to the way that we're spiraling down now. So it was the first time I actually no, Mary, no.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think Mary's just amazing. I would just love to see her, and not that I think she's probably still wearing both hats and still very involved with Calgary economic development, and I'm very glad she is. And and I'm looking forward to her going back there and continuing the great work she does there.
The only thing I would and again, it gets back to that message of this is all we've got. And I'm thinking that's just not. There are more ideas on the table that need to be explored, that with people, with experts, and within their fields, whether it's tech community, whether it's in tourism, whether it's in whatever those sectors are, and getting them around the table and coming up with some. We need new ideas. We don't need the Olympics.
Yeah, for sure. So you also mentioned there was some news about Treaty 7 this week. What was that?
Yeah, so the Treaty 7 came out in support of they issued a letter of support. They were clear to say that they hadn't been, there was no consultation with them prior to that, but then they were asked for support and came out with support. And one of the things that the Olympic bid or hosting plan sort of says is that, they've got some sweeping claims that they believe in Indigenous rights and the truth and reconciliation. And I thought, okay, but you've got to really put your money where your mouth is and engage with people and have them involved in the whole process, not come at the end of the whole spectrum and say, oh, by the way, could you support us? So hopefully they'll improve and do things a little bit differently. But so far, sort of demonstrated.
And for sure, and if it does happen, I would like to see for sure some deeper engagement with the Aboriginal community. I met at the Chamber of Commerce event when the IOC came back in July. I met a gentleman who was part of, I can't remember the name of the group, but it was kind of an Aboriginal Treaty 7 arts cultural association, and they were trying to and if it happens, are hoping to put together the opening ceremonies, which I think would be really cool if that happened. Yeah, what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Oh, it's gone. Oh no, I know what I was going to say. So it was funny. We were also in one of the subcommittee meetings a few months ago, and in those subcommittee meetings, there's somebody from who's a part of the Vancouver VANOC group, and and who was it? It was our esteemed counselor Jyoti Gondek, who made some kind of a statement about how the involvement of the Aboriginal community in the Vancouver Games was kind of facile and not very deep. And then I just looked at this lady's face from VANOC, and her face just dropped. Just like, what? What did you just say? Oh, it was one of those great moments. So yeah, okay. Anyway, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to say today, Jeanne?
No, I think you covered off all the points. I like the fact that we're running a positive campaign. I think that's really fun, and because we really believe in Calgary. Yeah,
we do. And I think we have more in common with the Yes Calgary counterparts of the Yes Calgary group, 2026 group, than we don't. We both want what's best in the city. They're just wrong and we're right. That's all there's to it.
That's right. Take that to the bank.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Jeanne, I'll talk to you later.
Super. Thanks, Dan.